It is time for Daniel in the Deacon's Den. We've got Deacon Dan Brahier joining us right now. Good morning, Deacon.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Dave. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you, Deacon Dan?
I'm doing well, thank you. For some reason this morning, my internet just dropped out, so I'm happy that the phone is working, but I don't know if somebody hit a pole or if it's internal. You know what happens when you lose your internet access and you wonder, is it me or is it them?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it must be them.
I had that happen all night last night, actually. Had no internet for quite some time. So, but you're involved in some exciting things today, in fact, and wanted to talk a little bit about some visitations that you're going to be having with some school children, Catholic school kids.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot over the last year with visiting schools, which has been really a lot of fun. Normally we think about deacons, we think about them as being, really busy in their parishes, and sometimes the only time the parishioners see us is when we assist at Mass.
Right.
And I think some people think the only thing deacons do is assist at Masses and preach occasionally. But, nothing's further from the truth. We've got all kinds of things that we're doing in our parish, and most of it is behind the scenes. But not only are we busy in the life of our parishes, but a lot of us also get called on to help out with projects and activities that are going on in other parishes and other schools. And so in my case, I'm a retired teacher, so the old adage, you can take the teacher out of the school, but you can't take the school out of the teacher.
Right.
So I get these phone calls of, hey, can you come and speak to our students for this or that? So back in January, I was invited by St. Joan of Arc School in Toledo to spend about an hour and a half with their students in grades 5 through 8. It was actually Catholic Schools Week. And so I got together with about 100 students, and it was a great time. They submitted questions in advance, although a few of them also live, but I responded to all those questions with them. So I thought it was really fascinating to see what kids, ages basically 10 to 13 or so were asking. And they wanted to know things like, how long does it take to form a deacon? And when did I realize that I was called to the diaconate? But, one student asked, how do you know that God is for real? And another wanted to know which of the 4 Gospels is my favorite and why. And so it was really a neat way to get some insights into what they're thinking and to try to answer questions that are just, on their minds. I had a great time that day. And then I got a call from a teacher at St. Ursula Academy in Toledo, it's all-girls high school, and she asked me to come and spend 90 minutes with each of the senior theology classes last year.
Wow.
And so the diaconate is in their course of study. Mm-hmm. So she figured, why should I teach them about the diaconate? I mean, they can get it from the horse's mouth. So they asked me to come and talk about formation and what we do as deacons. And it was a great opportunity. I visited all the classes over the course of actually several different visits there. And the girls at the school seemed to be most interested in my vocation story. They wanted to know, how do you listen to God and how do you know what he's calling you to do? And so we really got deep with some of the conversations. And so later in the year, the sophomore theology teacher asked me to come and speak with her classes. And they were actually, part of their curriculum is talking about the liturgy of the hours. And she wanted to know, what are the hours and how do I pray them and that sort of thing. She wanted to know from someone who prays the hours regularly what it's like. And so I worked with them, and talked about prayer. So it was a great opportunity. So anyway, apparently I didn't get canceled after those last year's visits because I got a call again to come back this year.
And now the requests are pouring in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know about pouring in, but at least they're coming in. So later this morning, actually, when I get off of here, in another hour or two, I'm going to be heading back to St. Ursula Academy because we have a whole new group of seniors this year. And so I'm starting to meet with them today for another 90-minute session to talk about the diaconate and kind of reset the button, which is a lot of fun. And then another new thing that I'm doing this year is I'm teaching 7th and 8th graders at St. Rose School in Perrysburg.
Oh, wow.
So they have an elective in their classes that they take in the fall. And I was asked about teaching one of those electives, and so I'm doing one on Catholic radio.
Oh,
and
nice.
so it's been a lot of fun. We meet every Friday including this one. And we talk all things Catholic radio, like what is the mission, what kind of programming is provided, who are the listeners, what are we trying to accomplish. And so early in the semester, you guys would be interested, I created a scavenger hunt and had them explore the Annunciation Radio website.
Nice.
And find out, kind of who are the underwriters and what are some of the things that are going on, what are the programming. And then in December, we are hoping to be able to visit and take a tour of the radio station. So it's just a great opportunity for these junior high kids to take these electives at St. Rose. I hats off there to the teachers and principal for coming up with that kind of programming for kids that is really unique to a Catholic school. So one of the tasks that I gave the students this semester is to select topics and to do research, write outlines, and then present parts of my segment with me on the air. So I'm going to do a program with them each month in October, November, and December. And in fact, next week, on Wednesday, a week from today, I'm going to be joined by three seventh graders, and they're going to share this Lion's Den segment with me.
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
really looking forward to it. They have actually come up with the main ideas that they wanted to present, and we'll do it together. So, there's just a lot more to diaconal ministry than assisting at Mass. And so as a former teacher, I'm always quick to seize those opportunities to spend time with the students in the Catholic schools because there are so many good things going on in our Catholic schools. And if I can somehow contribute and help on that, I'm going to do it every time.
Well, Deacon Dan, apparently one of the things not involved in your life, based on all of the things that we talk about, I know you're engaged in, is sleep. I mean, do you get sleep? Is that something that you need? Is 2 hours sufficient?
You know what? I am a big believer in sleep, Dave. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that, because you hear of these people who are like the superpower people that sleep 3 hours a night, and that's, I can't do that. I suppose there probably was a time in my life when I did, but I have to rest well to be effective. So I routinely am going to get anywhere from usually 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And that feeds me enough to keep things going because the agenda is so busy. And, being a parent and a grandparent and a husband and in my job and my ministry, I would not be able to keep up without a lot of sleep and without a life of prayer.
And this engagement with these 7th and 8th graders in particular, Deacon Dan, proves everybody wrong based on what they say. They said there'll be no interest in that at that age group in faith, first and foremost, and then secondly, in a media that is as old as radio, and yet you've combined both and piqued the interest.
Yeah, I think we sometimes, and I know we've talked about this before on my segment, that we tend, in quotes here, tend to sell kids short, that they don't really have that much interest in their faith, or they don't tend to, to have the kind of interest. And that's just not true. And I was actually, in preparing for these comments today, I pulled up the list of questions that these 5th through 8th graders at St. Joan of Arc asked me this January. And they ask things like, what is the most special thing you've witnessed since your ordination?
Yeah.
And,
wow.
What's the first step? And as Catholics, somebody asked, do we have to follow every rule in the Bible? And what does the Bible have? But just they're really thinking deeply here. And somebody's got to help them. Somebody's got to bring that knowledge to them.
That's great.
Love it.
Wow, this segment
Dan.
just flies by. Daniel in the Deacon's Den. Deacon Dan Brahier. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for that mighty roar this morning. We'll be right back.
Have a great week.
Yeah, thanks. You too. And have fun at St. Ursula today.